was still learning to breathe again.
I didn't try to fix you either. I let your pain unfold at its own pace. We didn't rush toward healing. We simply stood still long enough for it to find us.
We didn't fix each other. We grew together, not by erasing what hurt, but by holding space for everything that made us human. Some nights we said nothing, just listened to the wind and the quiet rhythm of survival. And somehow that was more healing than words.
We became soft with each other, like two broken branches, learning how to lean instead of snap. And that,
More than anything, was love. There were days I barely spoke, when the world felt too loud and nothing made sense. Inside my chest, you didn't fix it. You just stayed long enough for the air to return. You didn't check your watch, you didn't ask me for timelines, you just kept showing up with quiet hands and eyes that didn't flinch. You stayed long enough for me to breathe again, not because I asked, but because you knew. Some healing only happens in the presence of someone who refuses to leave. I didn't notice when the weight started to lift, but one morning I opened the window and felt like I could let the light in again. You were still there, smiling like it was the first day. And there's a kind of love that doesn't chase, doesn't shout, doesn't demand, it just stays. And in that staying, it saves everything. I didn't notice when the weight started to lift, but one morning I opened the window and felt like I could let the light in again. You were still there. silence, the soft sound of breathing, and the peace I never knew I was missing. You don't wait at the door with questions, you're just there with a steady kind of presence that makes every part of me exhale. Loving you feels like coming home, not to a place but to a feeling I thought I lost. It's quiet, it's full, and it doesn't ask me to be anything but me. Fold laundry while I read, I hum while you cook. We live in the rhythm of things that never need explaining. I've searched for belonging in all the wrong places. Now I sit beside you and know I found it, not because I stopped moving, but because I stopped needing to. Loving you feels like coming home, not to a place but to a feeling I thought I'd lost. It's quiet, it's full, and it doesn't ask me to be anything but me. You met me where I was, not where I tried to appear. You didn't flinch at my quiet moments or try to fix what didn't need fixing. I never felt the need to perform with you. No mask, no perfect timing. You took the unfinished parts of me and held them without fear. You never asked me to be anything else. You didn't mold me into your comfort. You simply stood beside who I already was and chose to love me there. In a world full of noise and pretending, you were stillness and honesty. And somehow that made me wanna grow, not to earn your love, but to honor it. You never asked me to be anything else. You didn't mold me into your comfort. You simply stood beside who I already was and chose to love me there. What we have isn't loud, but it's real, and I thank you for seeing me and never asking me to be more than exactly this. Sometimes I sit in silence, and you don't ask me to fill it. You don't lean in, you just stay near, as if silence itself is part of the conversation. You notice the shift in my breath, the pause in the way I stir my coffee. You read the quiet moments like they matter as much as the words I never say. You understand the things I never say, not because you've memorized me, but because you're listening with more than your ears, with your heart, with your presence. Never knew love could feel like being seen without needing to explain. Every shadow, you leave room for my silence, and somehow it brings me closer to you. You understand your presence. Some days you don't even speak, you just reach for my hand and let me be. And in that stillness, I feel completely understood. Understand the things I never say, not because you've memorized me, but because you're listening with more than your ears, with your heart, with your presence.
With you I don't feel like I'm performing. I don't have to earn each smile, don't have to shape myself into something you'll approve. There's no scoreboard between us, no silence held as punishment. You love me in ordinary moments without needing proof I'm worth the effort. I don't have to win your love, it's already mine, not because I fought for it, but because you chose it freely and continue to choose it every day. You don't keep a list of my wrongs, don't ask for more than I'm able to give. And in that quiet freedom, I give you more than I knew I could. This isn't a fairy tale. It's better, it's real, steady and safe. I never thought love could feel like rest, but with you it does. I never thought love could feel like rest, but with you it does. You didn't rush me to be okay. You didn't ask me how long it would take. You stood in the doorway of my fear and waited like the view was enough. There were days I didn't speak at all. Nights I cried without warning, and still you didn't walk away. You just poured tea and sat with both our silences. The way you waited changed everything. Not by what you said, but by what you didn't need from me. You gave me time without making it feel like death. I started trusting the ground again, 'cause you never made me feel rushed to stand. You didn't carry me, you just stayed close enough that I didn't feel alone. Now when I think about love, I don't picture grand gestures. I picture someone who waits, not because they have to, but because they believe healing is worth the time it takes.
Wasn't expecting the sound of your knock. It had been long enough that I'd learned to live without waiting. But when it came, it didn't startle me. It softened me. You didn't bring flowers or apologies, just your voice, quiet and steady, like it belonged here, even after everything. You knocked like you knew I'd still answer, not because I hadn't moved on, but Because you knew I never locked the part of me that once called you home. We didn't speak much at first. We just stood in the hallway like the house remembered us and was holding its breath to see what we choose. You knocked like you knew I'd still answer, not because I hadn't moved on, because you knew I never locked the part of me that once called you home. We didn't invite you in right away, but I didn't turn you away either. Sometimes love returns when the heart has grown wide enough to hold both pain and hope.
For weeks I left your side untouched. The pillow stayed fluffed, the blanket folded back. I couldn't face the idea that your place had become just space. I'd wake in the night, still reaching toward where you used to be. My body remembered what my mind was trying to forget, but slow learned to sleep on my side of the bed, not out of anger, not to erase you, but because I had to find rest again without waiting for your return. The sheets still hold the shape that isn't mine, but I've stopped pretending that love only counts if it stays. Healing came quietly with each night I faced alone. Yeah, it's slow. To erase you, but because I had to find rest again without waiting for your return. I still leave your side undisturbed. Some mornings not in mourning, but in memory. I found peace in the place you once called home.
couldn't touch it. It felt like disturbing something sacred, or admitting you weren't coming back. Some days I'd brush against it, pretending it was just by accident, but I always stopped, as if moving it would shatter something inside me. The day I finally took off your coat, I didn't cry. I folded it gently, not to forget you, but to stop waiting for your return. I sat down after, hands in my lap, breathing like I hadn't in weeks. The silence felt different, less like absence, more like peace. That was the day I made space for myself again. Not by letting go of love, but by no longer letting the past hold the door open. And somehow that felt like grace.
I spend weeks replaying the way you closed the door. Not slamming, not soft, just final. No message, no questions, only the weight of something unfinished. Didn't know what you needed, maybe you didn't either. But there was a pause between us that turned into distance before I could fill it. You left before I understood you, before I knew what your silence meant, before I could name the look in your eyes that I now realize wasn't anger, just leaving. Some goodbyes feel like storms, yours felt like a door being quietly locked from the other side. No noise, just a slow absence filled every corner of the room. You left before I understood you, before I knew what your silence meant, before I could name the look in your eyes that I now realize wasn't anger, just leaving. I don't hate you, I just wish you had stayed long enough to let me know who you really were, or who I was when I stood beside you. You left before I understood you, before I knew what your silence meant, before I I could name the look in your eyes that I now realize wasn't anger, just leaving. Just leaving. Kitchen used to sound full, even when we weren't saying much. Now the walls feel too wide, and everything I do is louder than it used to be. Laughter used to fill this place like sunlight in a quiet room. Now there's only an echo, and it doesn't answer back. There's an echo quieter, heavier. I listen for it without meaning to, hoping some part of you still lives in the air. I've played old movies, open windows, lit candles you once picked out. Nothing brings back the warmth that your voice gave to this house. Learning to live in the quiet, but I still pause sometimes just to see if the echo might change and sound like you again. Every evening I place 2 plates on the table. It's not a habit anymore, it's something else. I know you won't walk through the door, but part of me still waits like you might. Your chair stays empty, but I never remove it. It feels like betrayal to put it away, as if that would make your absence final. I still set the table for 2, not because I expect you, but because I remember what it felt like to be chosen. Those quiet dinners still echo in this room. I can't let them go just yet. Sometimes I speak softly into the air just to see if it feels less quiet. There's no answer, but the silence doesn't push me away like it used to. Maybe one day I'll put out one play and it won't feel like surrender. But tonight I still leave space for you and all the love that once lived here. I still set the table for two, not because I expect you, but because I remember what it felt like to be chosen. Those quiet dinners still echo in this room, and I can't let them go just yet. I don't speak your name out loud anymore, but it still echoes in the corners of the house, in the drawer where your old shirt rests, in the sound the door makes when it closes too slowly. You're gone, but not erased. There are pieces of you in the rhythm of my routines. When I cook the dish you liked, I don't taste the same comfort. Your name still lives in the quiet corners. It shows up without warning in the middle of folding clothes, or when the light falls a certain way on the wall. You're not here, but you haven't left completely. I tried moving furniture, switching the photos around, even repainting the bedroom. But some absences refuse to be covered, and I don't want you back, not the way things ended, but I still speak to you in silence, 'cause grief isn't loud, it just lingers like your name in the quiet, in the quiet.
I made 2 cups of coffee that morning, One for you, one for the hope you'd still come back. The sun rose slowly, but you didn't arrive with it. I watched the steam fade from your cup, like the last thing you ever said. Not a goodbye, just an absence that never ended. I waited for you while the coffee went cold, not because I believed you were coming, but because I didn't know how to stop hoping. Every second was heavy, and still I stayed. The silence sat across from me, like a memory I didn't invite. I touched the rim of your mug, like it could tell me why you left. You never came back, but I still make 2 cups some mornings, not for you anymore, but to remember how deeply I once loved. I waited for you while the coffee went cold, not because I believed you were coming, but because I didn't know how to stop hoping. Every second was heavy, and still I stayed. Wasn't ready for company, the kind that sees the mess and stays anyway. But you didn't wait to be invited, you arrived with warmth instead of questions. You didn't speak like you had answers, you didn't move like you were afraid of my sadness. You just opened the curtain slightly and let the light fall across my shoulders. You let the light in without knocking, not all at once, just enough. Like you knew I'd forgotten what soft mornings felt like you believed I was still someone worth waking up. I didn't say much, but you noticed when my breathing slowed. You noticed when I stopped That's what you gave me. Not solutions, but a room that no longer felt heavy, and light I didn't know I needed. Feels softer when you walk in. It's not something you do, it's something you are. The room doesn't get quieter, but somehow everything feels less loud. You never try to take the attention, just exist fully, and it's enough. My body relaxes the moment you sit down, like it knows you before my mind catches up. Even the room changes when you're here, not because but because your presence makes everything feel safer. You don't ask the space to love you, it just does. I've seen how others shift when you speak, how your stillness settles everything around you. You don't force calm, you just bring it with you. Even the room changes when you're here, not because it needs to, but because your presence makes everything feel safer. You don't ask the space to love you, it just does. Being with you is like turning a page I didn't know I needed. Not dramatic, not loud, just a quiet shift that makes everything else more real. Them around the Saint Tremont River, either one is two when love. Never answer too quickly. You listen longer than most people ever try. You let the silence stretch as if it holds something more important than words. When I stumble trying to explain what I feel, you don't rush to fill the space. You wait, letting my thoughts find their way out on their own. You know when to speak and when to be still. You don't just talk, you connect. compete with the sound. You bring peace into it. Loving you feels like being understood without having to explain everything. Not because you always know, but because you always stay long enough to learn.
Never rush to speak when I'm thinking, and you wait just long enough for me to feel safe. Your presence doesn't interrupt the quiet, it becomes part of it. When I sit by the window with my coffee, you come near without asking to be seen. You know I need space, and you make it feel full, not empty. Love is not in loud gestures or perfect timing. It's in how you lean in just enough, how you touch my world without rearranging it. You sit close without crowding me, and that makes all the difference. You never fix my silence, but you never ignore it either. You know when to hold still and let peace do its work between two hearts. Love is not in loud gestures or perfect timing. It's in how you lean in just enough, how you touch my world without rearranging it. You sit close without crowding me, and that makes all the difference. I didn't know love could be this soft, this steady and unafraid to wait. But here you are, making space feel like home.
Didn't need saving, I just needed not to be left alone with my silence. You knew that and you showed up with nothing but present. No questions, no corrections. You made space beside me like it was the most natural thing in the world, to let someone fall apart without interruption. Was nothing loud about the way you stayed. No grand promises, no dramatic declarations, just quiet, and the kind of care that doesn't ask to be noticed. You didn't speak to fill the silence. You let the stillness stretch until it started to feel like safety. That's when I knew you were the answer I didn't ask for. You never tried to fix me. You just refused to leave. And somehow that healed